So today we're reviewing
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu is going to be the last movie we review of the year. I have been definitely behind on watching movies, reviewing movies, but we're trying to get this review in here. This is a movie that I was really looking forward to. Saw trailers for it and I was thinking, it looks a little interesting. But then saw a lot of good reviews, got this movie hyped up to a level that it probably shouldn't have been. But we just saw it. So Jake, what were your initial thoughts of Nosferatu?
Yeah, like you just said, walking into this movie, I really liked the first trailer I saw. All the marketing was really good because it was keeping stuff hidden. You didn't know what Nosferatu looked like necessarily, at least from the trailers I saw. And then coming into this movie, we heard a lot of great stuff, people that we respect and really listen to as far as reviews go. And it got me really excited to the point where I probably overhyped myself for this movie, was expecting a lot more than what I actually ended up getting. And I have to say, leaving the theater, there was definitely some cool moments. It was a very well filmed movie, but for some reason it did not come close to what I was expecting and hoping for, which is making me feel kind of disappointed leaving the theater, just being honest.
Yeah, this movie got hyped up way too much. I always tell myself, just like I said in the pre-movie review, that I don't like to hype up horror movies because it just always leads to bad stuff. I guess I have that rule for all movies because I never want to hype a movie too much. But this movie is very well shot. There is a lot of positives in this movie. I mean, there's so much stuff done so well in this movie. But initial thoughts, I'm definitely disappointed. I hyped this movie up too much. There's a lot to like. I mean, it's a very well-made movie. But at the end of the day, I think it was overhyped. There's a lot of stuff I need explained. And I'm disappointed because this movie was set up so well even in the beginning. Why don't we get into our positives first?
Positives for me definitely have to be, I kind of mentioned it before, but the cinematography is beyond excellent. You really do feel like you're in the setting of this movie. I'm not sure exactly when it's taking place, but it's taking place like
1830s.
Yeah, early 1800s probably. And so it does a great job of the setting, creating really creepy scenes with the setting and just the shots of it. And also the acting from top to bottom was great, in my opinion, beyond great. The two lead roles of Lily Rose Depp, who plays Ellen Hutter, especially the husband and wife that you see in the trailers, she did a great job with that character. Her character is constantly having stuff going on with her, and she sells it so much to a point where you feel for this character because she's going through a lot. And also Nicholas Hoult plays the husband to her. He does a great job of showcasing fear in scenes where he's facing off with different situations, and they do a great job of portraying that. And also, it's worth mentioning, Bill Skarsgård plays Nosferatu in this movie. That's a spoiler or not. If I didn't know that, you would never have guessed that at all. It's not like where he plays Pennywise, where you can kind of see some kind of facial stuff. This one could not have said that, but he did a good job with that character. And also, shout out to William Dafoe. He did a good job with his role as well. The acting, the cinematography was great. The music, the sounds, the accent of Nosferatu was excellent throughout the entire movie. And there's definitely a few scenes that were really creepy. Some shots of characters standing in different areas. The use of shadows was really cool. And that goes with the cinematography comment. But really great stuff there. And definitely some scenes that made me jump. There were some jump scares. Some pretty effective ones. There's one of the same shot that got me like 3 times where it's like just a really creepy shot. And the use of the character's eyes of Nosferatu was the creepiest aspect of him.
Yeah, positives, definitely the acting first and foremost by the main actress, the main actor were great. You got great supporting characters coming in, like you mentioned, William Dafoe. And I definitely say the atmosphere in this movie was just excellent. I mean, the setup for the castle that Nosferatu's in, even though it's kind of unclear where he really is, the castle is just so good. I mean, the whole setup for this is excellent with the music, the sound effects, like you said, the shadows, the use of shadows, and he's like appearing on the walls is so cool and so well done. The accent of Nosferatu is really cool. I thought that was, it's like his voice echoes through the castles and the rooms, and that was so well done. And I know I'm saying something positive. You're probably wondering why I'm disappointed. We'll get into that soon. But yeah, the music, the sound design, the acting, it was legitimately terrifying. Not necessarily like scary at times, but like just an unsettling feeling in the movie. Yeah, the atmosphere of the times, of where they are, this kind of town, it just feels like the exact atmosphere that this kind of movie would take place in. And it definitely pays homage to the old movies. I haven't seen them all the way through, but there's scenes where it definitely refers back to stuff. But then why don't we get into our negatives with the movie?
Yeah, negatives for me, again, maybe this is my own fault for hyping it up too much with the reviews and just I was expecting a 10 out of 10 movie, to be honest. I mean, hearing certain things, the trailers really got me to buy in, and I was really expecting a really horrifying, just really good movie all around. And I think, like you just said, with the positives we were saying, that's why we're so disappointed, because there was all the ingredients needed to make an absolute classic 10 out of 10 movie, and we both left the theater feeling that was not hit and not close to being hit. Getting to negatives, it's hard to talk about without spoiling, because my biggest negative is the storyline and too many things not making sense. The concept of time and place was not done well enough for me, because there was points where it was like night and all of a sudden it's night again. There's just things that happen where characters are in certain spots, and also the use of nightmare sequences or not real situations happening that can happen and it's fine, but there's just so much jumping around. There's concept in time that makes sense. A lot of just subplots that did not need to be in it. There's a character that did not need to be in the movie at all. Nothing against the actor, but this character that I'm talking about did not need to be in the movie, and it's taken it down a couple of points, sadly, because it didn't need to happen. Nosferatu is a huge character. He did not need to have this character helping him out. I'm not saying who it is, but and then the scare factor for me, I was expecting Nosferatu, because again, as a kid, seeing that SpongeBob episode when you see this character flipping a light on and off, like I know some people may not say that's scary or not, but to me that was kind of a creepy sequence. I was expecting more of that type of form in a vampire, and while certain things about him were done well, like the fingers, the hands were done really well, the eyes were creepy, the rest of the form of this thing was cool, and he definitely seemed like a force at times, but this thing should have been an absolute force anytime he's on screen. And with the soundtrack, that could have been done so much better than it was. And for some reason, it just did not reach a certain level of fear factor that I was hoping for and that it deserved, in my opinion.
Yeah, my main negatives with this movie is probably just, it's with Nosferatu for sure. There's just a certain point where I heard stuff, and maybe I set unrealistic expectations, but just for me personally, the way you even meet Nosferatu for the first time was just underwhelming. And for a long time, I was thinking, there's no way they just revealed him like that. You just think a character, especially in a movie, the trailer, the way you hype him up, not necessarily hype him up, but I mean, you kind of are hyping him up. Like, this is the big threat in this movie. And that reveal, it might be one of the most disappointing reveals I've ever seen in a movie. I mean, he is literally just standing there. For me, there's such an excellent setup for this castle, and I really think, isn't Nosferatu mostly in the castle? Isn't that most of the scenes in the old movie? Is he's kind of in this castle setup? He's walking around.
It makes sense. I mean, that's he's like Dracula. I mean, Dracula's supposed to be in castles and dark places,
or even in a haunted house, like in that one house. I was hoping for more scenes in one enclosed environment where he's a threat. I was hoping for more of they hype up this castle in this area that he's in, and it barely even has a play in the movie at all. And that's the main thing. The first half of this movie, maybe first third, sets it up so well, and then the second half, Nosferatu just ends up being not as much of a threat, in my opinion, and that was the disappointing part for me. And the ending was a mess, and that's my main negatives. But why don't we go into our final thoughts and score?
Yeah, final thoughts and score for me. Like I said before, I went into this movie with really high expectations, and it did not come close to hitting them, unfortunately. And I do feel very disappointed in the movie. There's a point towards the end where something's about to happen, and then you kind of got this sense throughout the movie, because certain scenes were playing out in kind of a graphic way, which is fine, it's rated R. But at the end, I was going to look at Kenny, and I was like, what in the world are we doing here? And thankfully, it didn't do anything too crazy with what it could have done. But still, you're wondering like why, like what's, you understand from face value, whatever, or the surface of what's happening, but it's like why, like what's the goal, and then the way it plays out at the end is just done in a way where you're like, why, like what, like why is this character surprised by what's happening? It's like you've been living your entire life this way, and now I'm so confused, and maybe I just missed it, and there's something that I just totally did not hear. It's very disappointing. It just did not come close to what I think it could have done, because again, all those factors were there. The cinematography, the acting was phenomenal, some great shots, some great ideas, and it just, unfortunately, a lot of great things, but never put together completely. So I'm gonna have to end up going with I guess I'm gonna go with a 6 out of 10 for this. I was between a 6 and a 7, but I really am gonna go with a 6 because I'm struggling for the positives at this point. It's definitely above average, so there's no issues there. It's well shot. You can go and enjoy it if you're into like horror movies and just good films. I'm gonna go with a 6 out of 10 for Nosferatu. Maybe second viewing I would have a little less opinions on it. Maybe I'll appreciate some of the good stuff more. But yeah, I'm gonna end up with a 6 out of 10 for Nosferatu.
Yeah, for me, I definitely hyped this movie up too much. Maybe I set unrealistic expectations, but still, with that set aside, I can't deny this movie was shot so well. The cinematography is great. I mean, the sound effects, the music, Nosferatu, and like the way he talks and walks around is done so well for the beginning of this movie. But my negatives with him not utilizing the actual castle and just certain scenes at the end where they didn't really allow him time to be creepy. For some reason, they treated him like they didn't make him scary. They could have. They literally could have made scenes where he was creepy, but they decided not to, and I just don't understand that at all. Maybe it's some like callback to the old one. Maybe I'm missing that. I really feel like I'm in a different stratosphere than so many reviewers I've watched. It's a very good movie in an aspect of how it's filmed and a lot of stuff about it. But the scare factor and just the ending in this movie just does not work. Yeah, I'll give this a 7 out of 10 because it's shot so well. The setup is so great. But just the scare factor and the things with Nosferatu at the end just did not work for me. And I don't know if I can recommend this movie. I mean, it's like it's good in the beginning and it's good in the middle and there's good stuff about it, but not enough makes sense. There's too many weird things going on. And yeah, this is going to be a 7 out of 10 because it had the potential for sure to be one of the greats.
The important part is let us know in the comments what you thought of the movie and what score you would give it. Again, if you're over 21. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.